Okay, we will be starting soon. I'm just going to put up the prompts now. You can use them. If I can. Okay, actually, I lied. I don't want to start this yet, so just hang on. Don't answer these questions. You answered these last time. I will be putting up the real questions here in a second.
You'll never have to buy a food again. It'll be the profits everywhere. I'm sure the coast will flow and the economy. You go. That was so bad. That was just embarrassing. That was
yes, I haven't put it up yet because I want to wait.
And then also, I have to be gone of the day next Thursday or next Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday.
For percussion classes. I won't be gone the whole class.
Okay.
What will I have to do?
Do you think you'll be here the first part of the class or the second? You'll be here the second. I might decide to add you to the recording so you get the first part, but I'll probably just catch you up when I get here.
Okay.
All right, you need a piece of paper. Hello. I'm back. Did you like the movie? Okay, so you need a piece of paper for the prompt. This is a prompt you're turning in. So make sure you got one to write. It's not this one. I haven't put the real one up here. Okay, so for these Huckleberry Finn prompts, you can't use your book. They're pretty basic questions. I just want to see that you've done the reading. If you cannot remember the answer exactly, give me as much detail. I know I haven't put it up yet. Give me as much detail as you can so I can see that maybe you did the reading, you just didn't read super carefully or remember that answer. I can give you some points. All right, and then I'm going to put this up, so it's got to be quiet. It's basically a quiz because I'm seeing if you read. So there it is. That's good. It's gotta be quiet while you do the quiz.
last question is, like, it's in the very last. Okay, when you're done, just go put it in the drawer for me. Make sure your name's on it too, just double check.
We went to one function. In English. For some reason, all this but my husband went to an Iranian disco. I was too tired. Our friends, they're like, and it was and it was on a boat, and so they were like, just, yeah, in this the main river there, they were just doing partying with Iranians in the middle of there. All right, wrap up what you're saying there. Go put it in the box. And then we'll do word of the day. So pull out your word of the day first. We still have one, right? Yeah. I forgot mine. Put it in my folder. I'll get you one. Another one. Yeah, who else needs a paper?
Probably still looking.
to Jackson. Thanks. Okay, anybody else see a word of the day form? All right, our word today is another one you're gonna think I made up, but I promise it's real. Oh, you know what, before I do that, let me just explain the grades for the Frederick Douglass essays. So I had my grader do those, since I was out of town. Her name's Michaela. She's a little bit harsher than me sometimes. But I think on these,
Way harsh.
she is harsh. But I think on these, I think it's good to have the harshness first, and then I will grade the rewrite. So if you do, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna look at the first and see what her comments were, and I want to see that you improved on those things. But I will look at the rewrites if you decide to rewrite it. So here's how the scores work. The AP score that I always use for all my classes, because I find it useful, AP rubric, is out of 6. If you get 4.5, did I do 4.5 this time? Yeah, 4.5 to 6, you got 50 out of 50. So you could, not have a perfect paper. I think our highest score was 5. So not have a perfect paper, but still get 100% on it. If you got a 4, I gave you 45 out of 50. And then 3s were 40 out of 50. 2s, like so 3, 3.5, 2, 2.5 is 35 out of 50. And anybody who did lower than that, it was usually because it was incomplete. I don't think I saw any less than 1.5, but those were 30 out of 50. And that was usually because either that was way off the mark in terms of what the assignment was, or it was just way short on pages.
I still got 30.
She gave you too high. All right, so that's kind of how the scores break down on Skyward. I think it ends up being like this is an A-, this is a B-, this is C-, like a D-. Yeah. Yeah, so it kind of goes down like that. You can rewrite these. She gave you lots of good comments. So you can rewrite these up until December 17th. That's in Christmas break, only 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, awesome. So that's in 2.5 weeks. It's right before the break. Get it done earlier so you're not worrying about it right before the break. But yeah. Any questions on that? Okay. She's really nice in her comments. She'll be like, this is an amazing paper. 2 out of 6. So you'll see that. She always feels like nervous about her scores, but I think she does a good job. All right, word of the day now is picaresque. I told you you were gonna think that wasn't real.
That's like sure.
It is, but it's picaresque. All right, so a picaresque, it's a genre. I think like Bildungsroman, that was another genre that we talked about. Picaresque is another kind of genre. So a genre that deals with the episodic adventures of rough. And when they say rough in that definition, they mean low social class. So poor. Not a nice thing to say. And dishonest, but using their wits. But appealing heroes. Sorry, I'm going to read that all out again so it makes more sense. So a picaresque is a genre that deals with the episodic adventures of rough, dishonest, but appealing heroes. So the way that they kind of appeal to us is because their dishonesty doesn't seem like it's for evil reasons. Their dishonesty is to just like help them get by in the world. They've been given kind of some bad luck in some ways, like for Huck, for example, like he has this drunk father and his mother is out of the picture, I assume she's dead, and he just has to like deal with that situation, and he does it by being dishonest, but we kind of love his dishonesty because he's usually like working the system in some way we like, and so we end up finding him appealing and we think of him as a hero. So the important part of picaresque
is this part, episodic. Picaresque stories will go from episode to episode, like from a little adventure to little adventure, and they'll just be sort of like skipping through these things. I'm trying to think of like the differences between, okay, so I think a good example would be like Friends as a show, because you guys all watch that show for some reason now, right? No? Okay. Garbage, but what's a good example of one then? Did you watch Seinfeld? Okay, so either one of those. Sitcoms are usually like this. They might have like an overarching plot, like kind of loosely. Like for example, the overarching plot of Friends is like they're all friends, they live in New York, and I guess like Ross and Rachel are going back and forth, right? But other than that, there isn't like much of an overarching plot, and instead it kind of just goes from episode to episode, and it's like, I don't know, the one where they have a monkey, the one where there's a naked guy next door, or like whatever. They'll kind of go from episode to episode, and there will be this loose overarching plot, but the important part is the small adventures that they're experiencing.
So what if it's always Sunday, because like there's no
Yes.
like there's no, it's just they're all friends at a bar.
Yes.
doing Dumb things.
And very rarely do
It's
things like come back,
yeah,
you
there's
know?
nothing coming back, so is that still?
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good example. And I think it's a good example of picaresque actually, because they're also dishonest and yet somehow we like them, and they're also low social class and just low class in general. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a few, why don't in the example part, you write Huckleberry Finn, because that's a very famous picaresque tale. And then I'm gonna give you some genre characteristics here. Okay, it's usually a comedy. Not always, but usually picaresque stories are comedies, because usually the dishonesty is used for humorous purposes. No, strong overarching plot. There's a little bit of a plot, but it's not the most important part. The most important part is the little stories that they're experiencing. Very little character development. Under effects, yeah. So very little character development. It doesn't mean that the characters don't have any kind of arc at all, but pretty much who they are at the beginning is who they'll be at the end. Always Sunny, like they're despicable at the beginning, they're despicable at the end. Seinfeld, same deal. Ross is an annoying dweeb at the beginning of Friends, and he's an annoying dweeb at the end of Friends, So it kind of just sticks with that same character type. Lots of times they're satirical, meaning that they're critiquing society in some funny way. Society. A lot of times they will use a plainness of language, which we see with the dialect in Huck Finn. And the hero is usually a sympathetic outsider. They don't fit into society completely, and we sympathize with them because of that. So some other famous picaresques would be like Forrest Gump. There is an overarching story, but mostly it's just like, have you guys seen Forrest Gump? My references are a little outdated now, I think, but he like meets, the president, and then he's in Vietnam, and then he's running across the country, and it just goes from little story to little story. Alice in Wonderland is another example of like a picaresque type story. So the reason that I wanted to give you this word of the day is because we're gonna have two assignments today. One is we're submitting your essays to the Scholastic Art and Writing Contest. That's our main thing to do today. The second thing is that I've got a activity based on this picaresque structure. So far in Huck Finn, I think there have been a few little episodes that he has had, that he's gone through. He has played the robber baron game with Tom. What are some other little stories, little adventures that he has had so far? Huh? Yes, faking his death. It's a good one. What's another? Yeah, the snake thing. Yeah. Snake in sleeping bag, right? Yeah, separation of fog. Yeah. It's cross-dressing. Going to town. As a girl. Not super successful. Tries it though. What else? Maybe, what about what happens on like the sinking ship? That part's a little hard to read and understand, but. Yeah, it's like a murderer gang on the sinking ship. I love that part because he chooses to like tell people that they're there, not because he feels like, oh, it's sad that a human might drown, but he's like, well, I might be a murderer someday and I want somebody to save me if I'm drowning, you know? But yeah, that would be a good episode. I think, wait. Yes, okay, good. So the smallpox, pretending he has smallpox. That's how he tricks them into not going and seeing that there's a runaway slave on his boat, right? I think there's like a few others, but there's these little episodes and he goes from thing to thing. And when Mark Twain first wrote this book, he was expecting it to be a lot like Tom Sawyer, which is completely picturesque. Tom Sawyer just goes from little adventure to little adventure. The very last chapter, there's a little plot, but other than that, it's just one thing after the other. And he started Huck Finn with that intention, but we've gotten up to this part where the raft has been destroyed, right? Like there's this big ship that goes through the water, the raft is destroyed, and that's where we ended for today. That was kind of where Mark Twain decided he wasn't really writing the book he wanted to write anymore. And so you're going to see after this how it kind of drops that picaresque structure. It becomes less lighthearted and it becomes more about an overarching plot. But until this point, it's kind of been just these little episodes. So what you're going to do, we're going to submit to the writing contest. But then when you're done with that, you're going to grab this assignment and you're going to make an episode guide for one of the stories from Huck Finn. I've got a list of them on here, and you could also use anything that's up here too, because there's a couple I don't have on the list. So you're going to choose one of the episodes, and then you know how when you click on a show on Netflix, the little screen will pop up with like an image from the show, a description of the show, the genre, and so on. You're going to basically create that screen from a Netflix episode. So you're going to like draw a picture that represents the event, write a little synopsis of it, identify the theme, and so on. Okay, but we're not going to get to that till we submit to the writing contest. So everybody needs a Chromebook for this. Jordan! A literary analysis.
It works.
Oh, you're good at essays.
I'm amazing at essays, but I
hate writing. You don't like writing?
so much time from that. It's like reading, but better. Oh.
Okay, so I just passed out the instructions for how to enter this contest. So these are your graded essays that we are entering. We're entering them into the personal, essay, and memoir category. So log into that website, www.artandwriting.org. And you created a profile for this before I left. In fact, I will put this up on the screen. Yes.
One that we have to submit in this class.
Oh,
so
yeah.
have to submit it again. Or
No, that's all right. You just submitted both. Oh, yeah, that works. That's why I saw that you had done that. I was like, how do you know to do that?
No.
Of her airplane.
These are my problems. Definitely never eaten any food.
Yeah. Not like every day.
Yeah, she's listened to 162. I want to hear it. I think I have the most. I have the most matches. Don't mind too.
Okay, so everyone should be logged in. Hopefully the computers are going. All right, and then you have to do your profile information. So I'm not gonna show you, but you need to put in the stuff that has the star right there. That's required for the profile information. And the reason they ask for that stuff is a lot of it is for demographics, to make sure that you actually do live in the West because we're submitting to the West. Part of it is also to let you know if you win. And then part of it is for demographics, like they just want to know, ethnicity and pronouns and so on. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to fill out your profile info. Everyone should go to profile. It was a personal email. Oh. It probably wasn't the school email, was it for you? I just forgot my password. Your phone looks always there. Yeah, I told you last time to use a personal email if you could, so. Okay, I will be right back. I'm gonna use water.
What the heck?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what's happening. So I'm writing down a thing while it's saying.
I literally just. Oh my God.
Okay, this is actually what something you small stuff about. Well, make sure. Went into the head and then you stopped there. Are we not in our records?
Okay, if you finish this, you can just move forward on this blue sheet. I wrote down all the instructions super clearly, I think. Yeah. Thanks. I would put in your address right now because your parents are probably going through the process of address change, so they'll just forward it to the new address.
Let's go.
Wait, did you? So you gotta complete your profile. So click on that and then fill out application.
I'm not the brightest hope you want.
Wait, actually, even better.
Hey, Gene, what are you gonna do? Get Maddie?
Here's the.
Is that my dad? Where's my funny, my phone? Hey, yo. I would change it. What kids, we were just like almost the same.
Okay, so a lot of people are done with their profile, so I'm gonna show you the next step. You gotta upload your essay. So I'm gonna go to add work on upload, and I gotta give it a title. We're gonna call mine Babadook. So you probably already have a title. So a couple people still needed a title, so you need to title it. Okay, and then it is writing, and again, we are submitting to personal essay and memoir. Personal essay and memoir, and then I enter school and educator. You've already done Harriman High School. Just double check and make sure it's the right Harriman High School, the one 11917. And then you're going to select me as your educator. Yep, personal essay and memoir. Okay, raise your hand if you're with me or ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm behind you.
Okay, I'll go back. Okay, so work title. Writing, personal essay and memoir.
Work just isn't working, or just the login isn't working? Like, I don't know. I just tried to like finish creating my account, and whenever I go into what school I'm from, it won't work.
Oh, okay. Let's get you one set up. And then you should be able to log in. I have had a couple people have that same. You totally can. Just don't put my name on it. I don't know. I am a student. First name, Kate. Wait, you should Caitlin.
Oh yeah, Caitlin.
Like that?
Yeah, K-I-T-L-I-N.
All right, put in your personal email that you want to use. Your title of your essay.
I spelled Gmail wrong. The confirm email address is so weird to me.
Yeah, create a password. Lower uppercase and
Okay.
special character.
Oh wow. Wait, did that not work? Okay.
Plan to enter. Ready? I am in 11th grade. You are in Utah.
See this one? Never, don't save it. You heard it from an educator. Create account. Okay, see if you can sign in now, and I will sign out of yours. And if not, you'll just have to do it at home, but yeah. Should work now, because a couple people have problems. Yes. Great question. So the title that they're asking for is the title of your essay, so your personal title. So what did you title it? I think you had a good one. Well, open it up, find out. You're gonna have to open it anyway, so.
I didn't know that we were supposed to give it a personal title, so I just titled it graded essay.
So to give it a title now.
Okay.
Give it a little title.
Yes, and then just list the websites.
Perfect.
I don't know where to go from here. I'm still filling out stuff.
So now you gotta upload, and it's all on your computer.
Oh, we got. Oh.
Oh, did you already do this? No. Add work.
Oh.
And then you give your little your title. No, give it a good title. No, like this one's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Interesting.
Yeah, give it a good title. Okay, now if you go on to plagiarism, click that if you didn't plagiarize. If you did plagiarize, we should probably talk. I didn't catch it, but then you guys probably used what?
Did you plagiarize yourself?
You can't plagiarize yourself, can you? Only in oh yeah, you can. You can. Well, if you did, then we should talk. Yeah, okay, so here, let me explain the works cited part. So on a lot of your essays, let me get your attention. So on a lot of your essays, I would say almost everyone didn't do correct in-text citations. It looks like something that we need to go over. So in a lot of your essays, I suggested just have a works consulted page. Just take out your in-text citations. At the end of your paper, do a works consulted page of all of the stuff, all the research that you did online. If you did that, then you've got a list of websites that you used as references. And all you have to do is write down the website URL here if you used websites, and you'll be fine. Did anyone use print sources like books or articles that they found in magazines? Yeah, I didn't think so. So you'll just have to list the website URLs of all the stuff that you used.
Graded and then your research portion and your. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so while you're working on that, let me tell you about the tags. These are not that important. You're just thinking of a few words that like sum up what you were talking about in your essay. So I've got in my fictional essay, ghosts, moms. There we go. I did. It was really good. Okay. And then I put the instructions for finding the word count on the blue piece of paper. Let's use Jacob's really quick. You just go to tools and word count, and it will pop up. You just write that down, that number. Okay, it does say to not use real names. If you used the first and last name of somebody that you were just talking a lot of trash about, you might want to consider changing the name. If you're just talking about somebody though with their first name, or you're saying nice things, I wouldn't worry about it. It can be between 500 and 3,000. And then I find this annoying in this day and age, but you do have to copy and paste your essay into this and make sure the formatting looks okay. So.
Oh, dang it.
Okay, if you're on this screen and you got questions, I will come and answer. I wonder if you have a
I'm here. Thanks for saying that.
I was like, how long is your essay? Me too.
Good. Oh, no.
Okay, so how do you? It will. I'm hearing you do it. So your 7 spaces. Let me see what it's like.
I'm telling a story.
Yeah, 7 spaces. So it doesn't, when you copy it to that box, it doesn't keep your indents. Very annoying. And let's put it over here. Indent equals 7 spaces. You have to do it manually. Some of you are aggressively spacing.
Let's go.
That won't make it all. What do I do now? Wow. Oh. Yes.
She said, yes.
That's just like a
She gets
subject.
mad. She might say yes. I say like. Watch like the seeds like that.
Wait for the deacon.
Yes. Yes.
It's so hard to know where my friends are. We're trying.
Were you?
I yelled at him.
Really?
Yeah. How is it my fault all hard work is fun?
It is.
Ooh, that's my fishing license.
Oh my God.
From Idaho.
Kaylee, did it work? Okay.
You want me to put it in your scrapbook?
Scrap.
For your trip to Idaho? Yeah. You don't have a scrapbook for your trip to Idaho?
Actually, the sticker. Like your shoe.
It'd be perfect for a scrapbook.
Oh, wow.
Stay in a racetrack.
Yeah.
You start a
Absolutely.
scrapbook. All I want to go back.
I would make it.
Scrapbook.
You should absolutely start a scrapbook.
Hey, Dr. Bora?
Yes.
Would you sponsor a club if we wanted to start one?
What would it be?
A scrapbooking club?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would sponsor that.
No, because we should actually do it. I'm not even joking.
I would love to learn how to scrapbook.
Okay. I have so many scrapbooks in my self style. Oh, me too. And I absolutely.
Okay, so if you're working from home, that's about as far as I can get you. You're gonna have to do it on your own. And then you are going to finish the other assignment that I explained at the beginning of class, and I will assign you to that on campus.